A couple months ago, I had a client come in who wanted to lose 30 pounds off of his body. Now, this person swore up and down that he needed to skip breakfast because it worked for him. Now, being as blunt as I possibly could be, I told him, if skipping breakfast actually worked for you, then you wouldn't have needed to drop 30 plus pounds off your body in the first place. In fact, you are making one of the biggest mistakes I usually see people make when they are trying to stick to a diet. And that mistake is having the wrong meal timing. I told him, try this new meal structure out for at least 28 days and then let's judge based on the results. Reluctantly, he agreed, and after 28 days, he became a believer. Not only did he drop 13 pounds off of his body, but he also found that he wasn't hungry. His energy and his sleep and his focus improved as well. Over the course of 90 days, he's dropped 30 pounds and it feels like it was the easiest diet he's ever done. Most people think fat loss is about calories, macros, food quality, and willpower, and to a degree they are. But what if I told you that the missing piece is the fact that your body has a built-in schedule to how it likes to eat? And if you adopt to this schedule, it will make the process of getting lean and having more energy so much easier. So today I'm doing a deep dive on how to time your meals for maximum leanness and improved performance, and how I would apply this to your nutrition plan so you can get the best results possible. By the way, my name is Dango. I've been a fitness coach for 20 years. I owned a gym for 11 years. I sold it in 2018, and since then, I've been helping high-achieving entrepreneurs get in shape with ease and minimal stress. Let's go. Now, inside of our coaching practice, we use a concept called nutrition architecture. Now, this is not a diet, it's a framework that aligns your meals with your biology. So think of your nutrition as a house. If you put the windows in before laying the foundation, the whole thing crumbles. And the same thing happens with your nutrition. If you don't time your meals properly, you will be fighting an uphill battle every single day, fighting fatigue, hunger, cravings, and even poor sleep. And the solution to this is setting up the right architecture for your body. So here's the first step to creating your framework, and it starts right before you go to bed. Pillar number one is to have no food 3 to 5 hours before going to sleep. So sleep is the lead domino. It affects your appetite, your mood, your fat burning hormones, and also your decision making and even your blood sugar the next day. But here's the part no one tells you. Eating too close to your bedtime disrupts your sleep quality, especially deep sleep, and this can lead to some pretty bad consequences. The first one is you decrease sleep quality. So evidence shows that eating within 2 hours of bedtime increases your odds of waking up during the night by 40%. Number two is blood sugar impact. Late night eating, especially when melatonin, your sleep hormone, is high, it impairs your body's ability to handle sugar, leading to higher blood sugar and lower insulin levels the next morning. And you get long-term risks. So regular late night eating is linked to higher body fat and worse blood sugar control, regardless of calorie intake. And the big reason for this is digestion. When you are digesting, your body is using energy. This disrupts your sleep quality because when your body is supposed to be resting, you are forcing it to break food down. Now, the most important part of setting this architecture is to make sure that you have zero food 3 to 5 hours before going to bed. As for me, I like to have my last meal at least 5 hours before I go to bed because I found through tracking my sleep that that has had the greatest effect on my sleep quality. Now, when you do this, you will have a downstream effect on improving sleep quality, which will improve your ability to control your diet the next day. And next is going to be the second pillar, which is eating a high protein breakfast 1 to 2 hours within waking. And this stabilizes your hormones. So due to the popularity of fasting, we've been sold the idea that skipping breakfast is smart. But for most people, especially those dealing with stress, burnout, poor sleep, or even appetite swings, this backfires in a big way. What we need to do is what I call reverse fasting, which means eating a high protein breakfast at least within 1 to 2 hours upon waking and having an early dinner. And here's why. You improve hunger and appetite. So a high protein breakfast, at least 30 to 50 grams, reduces your hunger hormone ghrelin and boosts satiety hormones like peptide YY and GLP-1, which keep you fuller for longer. It also stabilizes your dopamine, supporting focus and motivation. And you also control your blood sugar. So people who skip breakfast have been shown to have a higher blood sugar and also worse glycemic control, even if they eat the same amount of calories. And most importantly, you get to control your cravings. High protein breakfasts have been shown to reduce the need for evening snacking and cravings, especially for high fat and high sugar foods. This is not even mentioning the fact that eating a high protein breakfast is a net positive for building muscle because it takes you out of catabolism in the beginning of the day. And the final pillar is to space your meals around 4 to 6 hours apart from each other. and this puts your hunger on automation. Now, most people tend to snack every 2 to 3 hours, not because they're hungry, but out of habit and boredom. What they don't realize is that they are training their hormones to graze while keeping their insulin levels constantly elevated. This is why you want to stick to a meal schedule with at least 3 meals a day, with the second one spaced between your first and your last meal, usually around 4 to 6 hours after your first meal. And here's why. You regulate your hunger. So snacking throughout the day can keep ghrelin, your hunger hormone, elevated, training your body to expect food between meals, making you hungry more often. Also, grazing every 2 to 3 hours has been shown to keep insulin elevated and also has been shown to reduce insulin sensitivity by 18 to 23% over 6 weeks. Having fewer meals can mean greater satiety. So fewer larger meals can increase satiety throughout the day, making you feel fuller after a meal when compared to grazing. Now, unless you are a high performance athlete or extremely active throughout the day, you likely do not need to snack between meals. By sticking to a 3-meal schedule throughout the day, you're getting energy when it's needed. You're also putting your hunger on autopilot, which makes getting lean a lot easier. So here's how to set up your own meal architecture. So step 1 is going to be to note down the time that you usually sleep. Step 2 is to have a habit of having your final meal at least 3 to 5 hours before you go to bed. Step 3 is to start eating a high protein breakfast at least 1 to 2 hours upon waking. Step 4 is to schedule your second meal between your first and your final meal. And the final step is to follow this schedule, no snacking, for 7 to 10 days to allow your body to adapt. So using myself as an example, I sleep around 10 to 10:30. I have my final meal usually around 5 to 5:30. I wake up around 6 to 6:30 a.m. So that means I have my first meal around 7 to 7:30 a.m. and I have my second meal from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. So if I'm just applying this to my life for the very first time, I like to give myself ranges because this makes the process so much easier when you don't have to abide by strict timelines. And over the course of time, your body will adapt. You'll find yourself wanting to eat your meals around the same time. Now, one thing I will mention is the fact that you don't need to be perfect with this. In fact, the other week I went down to Austin to do a couple podcast interviews, and I found myself eating way past the time I intended due to all the social events and all the dinners that were scheduled. And that is okay. There are going to be exceptions depending on what your lifestyle is like. But for the most part, around 80% of the time, you do want to be sticking to a regular meal schedule. And if you ever find yourself straying away from it, the faster you come back, the easier it is for your body to adapt. And by the way, a low-key cheat code, especially if you travel a lot, is to adapt your meal timing to the new time zone. So the times that I would eat in PST would be the same times that I would eat in CST. And this is one of the ways in which to acclimate yourself to a new time zone and also have your hunger schedule be automated. So here's what clients report when they followed this nutrition architecture just for 7 to 14 days. The first one is better sleep. They fall asleep faster, they stay asleep for longer, and this has a downstream positive effect on their bodies. They also have more stable energy and fewer afternoon crashes. They find themselves controlling their portions without having this obsession about calories, and they have a new level of mental clarity. So when you combine the nutrition architecture with high quality foods, you find yourself needing less willpower because your biology is finally working for you instead of against you. And this is all about just aligning your meals with your natural rhythm. Your fat loss, your sleep, your mood, your cravings, and energy, they all benefit as a result of leaning into what is natural to you in the first place. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that I find with a lot of people trying to get lean is the fact that they are not intentional with their architecture. Also, after working with thousands of clients, I found 5 other insidious habits that keep people above 20 to 30% body fat, and I did a video on that you can check out over here. See you there.